Today, we'll open a Claude Skill together. I want to pull one apart and show you exactly what's inside. Because most finance people have used the skill, maybe install a few of them, but they've never seen the three pieces that make one work. Or the single rule for how Claude actually loads them. So today, we are reverse engineering a Claude Skill, piece by piece. By the end, you know what's inside, why those three parts matter, and the one thing that makes the skills beat every prompt and every custom GPT you've built so far. I'm Carolina. I work in finance for 25 years, and now I help finance professionals work smarter with AI. And in the next few minutes, I'm going to walk you through exactly what's inside a Claude skill, the three parts every skill has, and the one thing nobody's explaining, how Claude actually loads them while you work. By the end, you'll be able to look at any skill and immediately know what's happening under the hood, and why most finance people are barely scratching the surface of what these things can do. So first, what is a skill? Forget technical definition for a second. Here's the way I think about it. A skill is a folder. That's it. A folder with instructions inside it that Claude reads only when it's relevant to what it's doing. It's not an app. It's not an agent. It's not a prompt. It's a self-contained package of expertise that Claude pulls in when it needs it and ignores when it doesn't. That last part matters more than people realize, because the magic of a skill is not what it does, it's when Claude decides to use it. We'll come back to that. So every skill has three parts, just three. Once you see them, you see them everywhere. So let's go through each one of them. Part one, the trigger. Every skill has a description, a short paragraph that tells Claude when to activate it. It's the most important part of the entire skill. If the trigger is bad, the skill will never run. If the trigger is good, Claude will bring it in the exact moment it needs it. Think of it as a job description. If I write person who does stuff, nobody applies. If I write FP&A analyst with 5 years of variance analysis experience, the right person walks in. The trigger is your skill's job description. So let's see how the trigger looks like in a real skill. I have one open right here, and this is what we are calling the trigger. You might also have seen this called YAML. It's the same thing. It's just how how Claude will look for which skills to open. It will read all of these descriptions, all of the triggers from every skill, and then it will choose which one to pick. So for example, this one is saying, this one is a variance analysis one, and the description says, execute a PVM variance analysis on financial data. So every time I say, do a variance analysis commentary, it's going to bring this one. It also says here, also trigger when users mentions PVM, price volume mix, cost variance decomposition, variance waterfall, variance bridge, budget variance analysis. So it has a bunch of keywords that if I mention that in my comments, that skill is going to be opened and used. So I have others here, for example, management report. There's one who generates a CFO-ready management report packed for financial data. So whenever I say things like, I need to present the numbers to the board or build the CFO deck, it's going to pull this skill right here. So this other one is going to get the general ledger and transform this into the three statements. So every time I paste or upload a CSV or Excel, or my workflow requires a three statement from a CSV of a general ledger, that's the skill that it's going to be used. Now the second part, the brain. This is the actual instructions. This is the how to do the thing. It lives inside a file called SkillMD. This is where you tell Claude when you activate it, here's the workflow. Here's the order of the operations. Here's what good looks like. A good brain is short, surprisingly short. Most people override this part. They dump everything they know into it. But a skill that's bloated is a skill that's slow and unreliable. So let's take a look here on a real skill how this looks like. So this part right here is the brain. Notice that I have on the same folder, I have the SkillMD, which is the brain, and I have a folder called references. I'm gonna get to this in a minute. But right now, the SkillMD, which is the brain, that's the step-by-step workflow that tells Claude what to do when this skill is loaded. So this one, for example, it's a drive-based forecast. It has some dependencies because it needs the data from other skills. It's part of a workflow. Then it tells Claude what to deliver when this skill is loaded. and the step by step. Step 1, historical data. Step 2, forecast scope. Step 3, identify the business model. And then it goes on telling Claude how to identify the driver and map it, revenue, cost drivers, semi-variable, fixed costs, and all of this. It will also teach Claude how to create the base case forecast, how to set assumptions, and how to calculate the forecast itself. Now, it mentions here something that it's worth taking a look. It mentions a static driver library. In this case, it's saying that the static driver library contains 200 plus pre-built operational drivers organized by industry and function. It doesn't show all of the drivers right here because that would bloat the skill. That leads us to the third part, the library. This part nobody talks about, and it might be the most important one. The library is everything else in the folder. Reference documents, code scripts, examples, templates, checklists. These files are not loaded into Claude's memory by default. They sit there waiting. Claude only opens them when the brain tells it to. That's a huge deal. It means a skill can carry hundreds of pages of expertise without slowing anything down. A skill stays light even though it's full of knowledge. So let's take a look at the library in the same skill. So you can see here on the reference folder, you can see a guide for rolling forecast, a guide for the sensitivity analysis, but let's take a look at the library drivers that I just mentioned, 200 plus drivers. So it's just mentioning here all of those drivers, what is the definition, what is a benchmarking, and how I link this to the financial data. With that, it's going to pull exactly the driver it needs according to what it's trying to calculate, what is the industry, and it's going to use only what it needs when it needs. So let's take a look at the rest of the things. I have here a guide for sensitivity, and also the same way, if I'm not doing sensitivity, it's not going to load this part. Only when I am doing the sensitivity analysis, it's going to pull this guide to the sensitivity. The same thing for the rolling forecast with the drivers. It's just telling Claude how to do the rolling forecast. And it has here some templates for scenarios that can be used as well. So all of those files in the reference folders are just loaded when the brain calls it to. Now, here's the part that makes the skills different from anything else. When you start a Claude session, Claude doesn't load every skill you have installed. It just reads the triggers. Those short descriptions, that's it. A skill could be 1,000 pages and Claude is only holding one paragraph description in mind. The moment you say something that matches the trigger, Claude reaches into that skill and reads the brain. Just the brain, still not the whole library. And only when the brain says, open the specific file, does Claude actually opens the file. This is called progressive disclosure. And this is the entire reason skills work where prompts and agents fail. A prompt has no trigger. You have to remember to use it every time. An agent loads everything up front, which means it gets confused with too much context, and it costs more. A skill loads exactly what's needed, exactly when it's needed, nothing more. That's the difference. And once you see it, you can unsee this. So that's a skill. 3 parts: the trigger, the brain, the library, and a loading system that only pulls what's relevant. Now, knowing this is one thing. Building skills for your actual FP&A work is another one. That's exactly what we do inside my cohort for FP&A professionals. We go from understanding how AI works to building the skills, the workflows, and the playbooks that handle real finance work. Variance analysis, reporting, forecasting, step by step with real data sets alongside with other senior FP&A people. If that's where you want to take this, the link is in the description. See you in the next one.